The year is 1166. Within the hallowed walls of the Benedictine monastery of St. Mary's, life moved at a measured pace, dictated by the tolling of bells and the rhythm of prayer. Yet within its scriptorium, a silent revolution was brewing. The scriptorium was the heart of the monastery, a sanctuary of knowledge where monks meticulously preserved and propagated ancient texts. It was here, amidst the rustle of parchment and the scratching of quills, that Brother Thomas dedicated his days to the sacred art of transcription. He was a skilled scribe and illuminator, known for his steady hand and meticulous attention to detail. But more than that, Brother Thomas possessed an insatiable curiosity, a thirst for knowledge that often led him to delve deeper into the ancient texts than his brethren. Today, he was tasked with transcribing a particularly ancient and fragile manuscript, its pages yellowed with age and its vellum brittle to the touch. As he painstakingly copied the Latin text, he noticed something peculiar. Interspersed within the familiar Latin were strange symbols, characters unlike any he had ever encountered. They were not merely decorative flourishes. They seemed deliberately placed, forming a separate, hidden script. Intrigued, Brother Thomas paused his transcription. He carefully copied the unfamiliar symbols onto a separate piece of parchment, his mind racing with possibilities. What could this hidden script mean? Who had placed it there, and why? Unbeknownst to Brother Thomas, his actions did not go unnoticed. Abbot Bernard, the stern and ambitious head of the monastery, often made rounds through the scriptorium, ensuring the monks were diligently fulfilling their duties. The abbot's gaze fell upon Brother Thomas, his brow furrowed in concentration as he studied the strange symbols. A seed of suspicion began to sprout in the abbot's mind. Driven by his burning curiosity, Brother Thomas sought the counsel of the monastery's oldest and most learned monk, Brother Michael, a wizened scholar who had spent his life deciphering ancient languages. "This is no ordinary script, Thomas," Brother Michael rasped, his voice hoarse from years of study. "It is a cipher, a coded message meant to be hidden from prying eyes." "But what does it mean?" Brother Thomas asked, his voice barely a whisper. "What secrets does it conceal?" Little did they know, the secrets contained within that cipher would soon plunge them into a world of courtly intrigue, political machinations, and deadly conspiracies, forever changing the course of their lives and the fate of the kingdom. Winchester, 1166. Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of England, held court. The weight of the crown pressed heavily, for England was far from settled. Henry's reign, though strong, was constantly challenged by rebellious barons and the lingering shadow of the anarchy. Sir Reginald de Courtenay, ever vigilant, stood guard. Whispers of discontent reached the Queen's ears, murmurs of alliances forming against her, plots hatched in darkened corners. Eleanor knew that vigilance was her only shield. A breathless messenger delivered news from the north, unrest among the barons, fueled by resentment towards the crown's increasing power. Eleanor's keen mind quickly assessed the situation. This was no mere squabble, but a calculated challenge. Reginald, on Eleanor's command, moved swiftly. He met with informants, men who haunted the shadows, gleaning information from hushed conversations and clandestine meetings. The rumors spoke of a conspiracy, a plot to dethrone Henry and place a puppet king on the throne. Eleanor studied the map, her fingers tracing the borders of rebellious lords. She suspected a foreign hand in the unrest. France, perhaps, or even her own family, the Lusignans, ever eager to exploit weakness in the English crown. Reginald, through methods both subtle and forceful, extracted information from a captured messenger. The man spoke of coded messages, secret meetings, and a Benedictine monastery rumored to hold a key to unraveling the conspiracy. Eleanor, a woman of both piety and pragmatism, sought solace and guidance in prayer. She knew that the path ahead was fraught with peril, and she needed all the wisdom she could muster. Reginald, accompanied by a small company of trusted knights, rode towards St. Mary's Monastery. His mission: to investigate the rumors and uncover the truth hidden within its ancient walls. Abbot Bernard greeted Reginald at the monastery gates, his demeanor a carefully constructed mask of piety and welcome. The abbot's ambition was as well known as the monastery's sanctity, making Reginald wary. Unbeknownst to Brother Thomas, absorbed in his work within the scriptorium, the wheels of fate were already in motion, drawing him deeper into the treacherous game of power and secrets. Back at Windsor, Eleanor prepared for any eventuality. Letters were sent to loyal lords, troops were mobilized, and the defenses of the kingdom were strengthened. She would not yield an inch to those who sought to undermine her authority. Reginald, within the abbot's chambers, pressed Bernard for answers. The knight knew that the fate of England might well hinge on the secrets hidden within St. Mary's, and he was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. Sir Reginald de Courtenay stood before Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of England, in the grand hall of Winchester Castle. The air was thick with unspoken tensions, the weight of political unrest hanging heavy. Eleanor had summoned him, not for a celebratory feast, but for a task of utmost importance. "Reginald," Eleanor began, her voice resonating with authority, "rumors of discontent and whispers of conspiracy reach my ears. I need you to investigate. Find the source of this treachery and expose those who plot against me." Reginald bowed his head in acknowledgement. He understood the gravity of the situation. Eleanor's reign was not without its enemies, both within the English court and across the Channel in France. He knew this mission could be fraught with danger, but his loyalty to the Queen was unwavering. Reginald began his inquiry in Winchester, a city teeming with merchants, travelers, and spies. He frequented the bustling marketplace, his keen eyes observing the ebb and flow of people, listening for snippets of conversation that might betray a hint of the conspiracy. He sought out informants, men and women who lived in the shadows, their ears always to the ground. In dimly lit taverns, he exchanged coins for whispers, piecing together fragments of information like shards of a broken mirror. A former soldier, scarred and disillusioned, offered a name: Abbot Bernard of St. Mary's. He spoke of the abbot's ambition, his growing influence, and his rumored discontent with Eleanor's policies. St. Mary's, the name resonated with Reginald. It was a place of learning and piety, but also a place where secrets could be hidden, buried within ancient texts and whispered in the cloistered halls. Abbot Bernard, a man of imposing stature and sharp intellect, ruled St. Mary's with an iron fist. He was known for his shrewd political maneuvering and his unwavering dedication to the monastery's prosperity. Unbeknownst to Reginald, within the walls of St. Mary's, Brother Thomas continued his work on the ancient text, the cipher still a nagging mystery in his mind. Reginald, his suspicion piqued, decided to pay a visit to St. Mary's. He approached the imposing monastery gates, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. Abbot Bernard greeted him with a carefully constructed facade of pious hospitality. He inquired about the purpose of Reginald's visit, his eyes betraying a hint of wariness. "I am here on behalf of Queen Eleanor," Reginald declared, his voice firm. There are rumors of discontent, Abbot Bernard, and I am here to uncover the truth. The game had begun. Brother Thomas dedicated himself to unraveling the secrets embedded within the ancient text. Days turned into nights as he meticulously studied the cryptic symbols, his mind racing to find a pattern, a key to unlock their hidden meaning. He began by systematically transcribing the coded passages, hoping that repetition would reveal a discernible structure. He recognized certain symbols repeated, suggesting a possible substitution cipher. Brother Thomas consulted various texts on cryptography and linguistics in the monastery's vast library. He compared the cipher to known alphabets, symbols, and encoding methods used by scribes in the medieval period. Days blurred into a relentless cycle of study and analysis. The cipher proved stubbornly resistant, its complexity a formidable barrier to understanding. Frustration mounted as he encountered dead ends and misleading patterns. Then a breakthrough. He noticed a recurring symbol resembling a stylized fleur-de-lis, a motif often associated with a leaner of Aquitaine. Could this be a clue, a connection to the Queen herself? Emboldened by this insight, Brother Thomas cautiously began substituting the fleur-de-lis symbol with the letter E, a leap of faith based on his suspicion of a leaner's involvement. To his astonishment, a short sequence of letters began to emerge. REGI. It was a fragment, but a significant one. Could it be referring to Reginald? He cross-referenced the emerging letters with known names and places mentioned in courtly circles. A map of England became his canvas, as he sought connections between the cipher and the political landscape. Brother Thomas theorized that certain symbols might represent numbers, dates, or even coordinates. He experimented with various numerical substitutions, hoping to unlock another layer of the cipher. He found that using numerical substitution for certain symbols revealed names of key nobles, names that were whispered in the halls of power, names associated with both loyalty and treachery. Slowly, painstakingly, he began to piece together fragmented sentences. They hinted at a conspiracy, a plot brewing in the shadows, designed to undermine a leaner's authority and sow discord within the kingdom. The weight of his discovery settled upon Brother Thomas. He now held knowledge that could alter the course of history, knowledge that could save a queen or condemn a kingdom to chaos. The responsibility was immense, the danger palpable. Abbot Bernard, a man driven by worldly ambition cloaked in piety, surveyed his domain. St. Mary's was more than just a monastery. It was a power base, and he intended to expand its influence. News of Brother Thomas's discovery had reached the abbot's ears. A rare find, an ancient text, but its secrets could be dangerous. The abbot recognized the potential. Information was power, and this cipher could be his key to the Queen's favor, or perhaps leverage against her enemies. Brother Thomas approached the abbot. He would seek guidance. He needed a clear head to solve this code. The abbot listened, feigning concern, subtly probing for details of the cipher's content, the mention of a leaner of Aquitaine sparking a flicker of interest in his eyes. Thomas revealed his theories, unaware of the abbot's hidden agenda. He spoke of a leaner, of political alliances, of potential threats to the crown. Brother Thomas, the abbot said smoothly, this is delicate work. It requires oversight, for the good of the monastery, of course. A seed of doubt was planted in Thomas's mind. The abbot's sudden interest felt unnatural. The abbot, now in possession of the text, began his own investigation. He summoned scribes, not for scholarly pursuit, but for discreet copying of the coded message. Back in the scriptorium, Brother Thomas felt a growing sense of unease. He decided to discreetly continue his research, but now he knew he was not alone in his quest. The abbot had no intention of sharing the secrets he uncovered. His ambition burned brighter than any religious conviction. He was determined to use this knowledge to elevate his monastery and himself to a position of power. Brother Thomas knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that the abbot's ambition had set a dangerous course, one that could have dire consequences for Eleanor, for England, and for St. Mary's itself. The late hours bore fruit. Lines of Latin surrendered their secrets, revealing not pious scripture, but a venomous conspiracy aimed at the Queen herself. The depth of the betrayal stunned Thomas. Powerful lords, men sworn to Eleanor's service, were revealed as snakes in the royal garden. The realization dawned upon him. Possessing this knowledge placed a target squarely on his back. The conspirators would stop at nothing to protect their secrets. He had to act quickly. The information was too dangerous to keep to himself, but who could he trust? The abbot, as ever, seemed the picture of serene authority, but Thomas knew better. He sensed the darkness lurking beneath the surface. Brother Michael, an older monk known for his wisdom and unwavering integrity, was Thomas's only hope. He was a confidant, a friend, and a man of unwavering faith. Thomas poured out the tale, revealing the decoded message and the danger it represented. He entrusted his friend with the secret that could shatter a kingdom. Michael, though shaken, remained steadfast. He recognized the urgency and the need for caution. The Queen had to be warned. But how? Thomas asked, his voice barely a whisper. How do we reach the Queen without alerting those who plot against her? Michael knew of a contact, a former student of the monastery who now served as a messenger for the royal court. It was a risky gamble, but it was their only chance. Unbeknownst to Thomas and Michael, they were being watched. The abbot's gaze, like that of a hawk, missed nothing. The die was cast. They had set in motion a chain of events that would either save the Queen or condemn them all. The secrets of the scriptorium were now a weapon, and the battle for England's future had begun. The weight of the conspiracy pressed heavily on Brother Thomas. Sleep offered no respite, only swirling visions of treachery and impending doom. He knew he had to act, and quickly, but how could a humble monk alert the Queen to such a grave danger? Remembering his encounter with Sir Reginald, Brother Thomas decided to seek him out. He penned a brief, urgent message, hinting at the Queen's peril without revealing too much, and entrusted it to a young novice bound for Winchester. Sir Reginald, overseeing the morning's training exercises, received the monk's missive. The cryptic words sparked immediate concern. He recognized the urgency in the tone and knew that any threat to the Queen, however veiled, demanded immediate attention. Leaving the training yard, Sir Reginald gathered a small company of trusted knights and rode with haste towards St. Mary's. He trusted Brother Thomas, and his instincts told him the monk's warning was genuine. Brother Thomas breathed a sigh of relief as he saw Sir Reginald's party approaching. He led them quickly to a secluded chamber, away from the abbot's prying eyes, knowing that time was of the essence. In the dimly lit room, Brother Thomas laid out the parchment, explaining the intricacies of the cipher and the chilling message it revealed. Reginald listened with growing concern, the names of the conspirators ringing in his ears. The monk detailed the alliance between disaffected nobles and a foreign power, all aiming to dethrone Eleanor and destabilize England. The scope of the conspiracy was far greater than Reginald had initially imagined. Returning to Winchester with the alarming news, Sir Reginald sought an immediate audience with Queen Eleanor. He presented the decoded message, bracing himself for her reaction. Eleanor, ever the astute strategist, studied the parchment with a discerning eye. She recognized the names, the alliances, the subtle hints of treason that had eluded her advisors. Anger flickered in her gray eyes, quickly replaced by a cold, calculating resolve. "Reginald," Eleanor said, her voice low and steady, "this conspiracy is a viper in our midst. We must root it out with precision and cunning. We will need allies, unexpected ones perhaps." Brother Thomas, summoned to Winchester, found himself in the presence of the Queen. He felt a mixture of awe and trepidation, a simple monk amidst the grandeur of the royal court. "Brother Thomas," Eleanor began, her voice resonating with authority and gratitude, "you have uncovered a grave threat to the crown. Your knowledge and discretion are invaluable. Will you join us in this endeavor to protect England from those who seek to destroy it?" An alliance, forged in secrecy and necessity, had begun. The tapestry of conspiracy began to unravel, revealing threads that led uncomfortably close to Eleanor's own court. Every advisor, every loyal subject, was now viewed with a critical eye. Trust, once freely given, was now a carefully guarded commodity. Reginald, ever vigilant, intensified his patrols and tightened security around the Queen. He interviewed servants, interrogated guards, and scrutinized every face that entered the royal presence. The air was thick with suspicion. Back at St. Mary's, Brother Thomas meticulously analyzed the decoded messages, searching for patterns or names that might betray the conspirators. He felt the weight of his knowledge, the burden of knowing too much. Unbeknownst to Thomas, Abbot Bernard was engaged in his own clandestine activities. A secret meeting in the dead of night hinted at the abbot's deeper involvement in the unfolding plot. His ambition knew no bounds, and the Queen's downfall could very well serve his own agenda. Eleanor, guided by Reginald's advice, initiated discreet inquiries, starting with those closest to her. Accusations hung in the air, poisoning the atmosphere of the court. Even her most trusted ladies-in-waiting were now objects of suspicion. Reginald, using his network of informants, began to piece together fragments of information. Whispers of dissent, secret gatherings, and suspicious movements led him down a treacherous path, closer to the heart of the conspiracy. While cataloging the abbot's personal journals, Thomas stumbled upon another coded message. The familiar cipher confirmed his worst fears. Abbot Bernard was deeply involved in the plot against Queen Eleanor. Abbot Bernard, seemingly immersed in pious devotion, continued his charade. But beneath the surface of religious piety, his mind was consumed with political maneuvering. The monastery was merely a pawn in his game. The atmosphere of distrust spread like wildfire. Eleanor, unsure whom to trust, even began to doubt Reginald's loyalty, questioning if he, too, was involved in the scheme to dethrone her. Reginald's heart sank as he heard the doubt in Eleanor's voice. Her accusations cut deeper than any blade. He swore his allegiance, but the seed of suspicion had been planted. Torn between his vow of obedience and his conscience, Thomas confided in a trusted brother, Michael, revealing the abbot's treachery. He knew that exposing the truth could have dire consequences, but silence was no longer an option. As shadows deepened and suspicion festered, Abbot Bernard received a message that confirmed his plans were progressing. The game of betrayal was reaching its climax, and the fate of Queen Eleanor, and indeed England, hung precariously in the balance. Winchester Castle, the heart of Aliner's power. Today, it would be the stage for a reckoning. The Queen, armed with the decoded cipher's secrets, was ready to expose the treachery festering within her court. Reginald, ever vigilant, stood as Aliner's shield. He knew the faces of the court, their alliances, their ambitions. He trusted few, and today his instincts screamed of betrayal. Brother Thomas, the key to unlocking the conspiracy, stood nervously beside Aliner. The weight of the information he held pressed heavily upon him, a stark contrast to the ornate surroundings. "Lord Beaumont," Aliner's voice cut through the murmuring crowd, "and you, Lady Marguerite, your allegiance to the crown is questionable." Beaumont's hand flew to his sword hilt, but Reginald was faster. Steel met steel, a desperate struggle erupting in the heart of the court. Brother Thomas, seizing the moment, began to read from the translated cipher. Each line was a hammer blow, shattering the conspirators' carefully constructed lies. Abbot Bernard, whose hand had guided the conspiracy from the shadows, watched his carefully laid plans crumble. His ambition, now exposed, turned to venomous rage. Reginald, a seasoned warrior, made short work of Beaumont. With a final, decisive move, he disarmed the Lord, forcing him to kneel in defeat. "Let this be a lesson to all who plot against the crown," Aliner declared, her voice ringing with authority. "Justice will be swift and merciless." Brother Thomas watched as the Queen's guards led away Beaumont and Marguerite. He had played his part, but the ordeal had left him shaken. Aliner turned her gaze to Abbot Bernard, her eyes filled with a cold fury. "Your ambition has blinded you, Abbot. You have betrayed not only the crown, but also the very principles you claim to uphold." As Reginald led Abbot Bernard away, the weight of the day settled upon him. The conspiracy had been exposed, but the seeds of distrust had been sown. The Queen's reign and England itself remained vulnerable. The truth, like a storm long brewing, finally broke upon Winchester. Aliner, armed with the decoded cipher, confronted the conspirators, their treachery laid bare for all to witness. Sir Reginald, ever vigilant, stood as a bulwark against any sudden threat, his presence a stark reminder of the Queen's unwavering authority. Accusations flew, shattering the veneer of loyalty that had masked the court for so long. The abbot's ambition had been his undoing. His manipulation, his hunger for power now stood revealed. Justice, though slow, had found its mark. He was taken to the castle dungeons and placed in confinement. His power was gone. Each conspirator was brought to justice, their plots laid bare. Some begged for mercy, others attempted to justify their actions, but Aliner listened with a cold, impartial gaze. She showed no mercy, and they were all imprisoned in the castle dungeons. With the conspiracy exposed and order restored, Brother Thomas prepared to return to St. Mary's. He bid farewell to Aliner, their shared ordeal forging an unusual bond between queen and monk. The familiar peace of the monastery enveloped Brother Thomas as he walked through the cloisters. The scriptorium, his sanctuary, awaited his return. While his time in the world had been transformative, his true calling lay within these hallowed walls. He returned to his quiet life within the monastery. He returned to his quiet life within the monastery and writing, the world outside but a distant memory. Sir Reginald continued to serve Aliner with unwavering loyalty, his vigilance redoubled by the recent treachery. The court, forever changed, learned a harsh lesson about trust and deception. Aliner, ever the astute ruler, used the knowledge gained from the cipher to strengthen her position and solidify her alliances. The near rebellion served as a stark reminder of the constant vigilance required to maintain power. Brother Thomas, forever marked by his experience, developed a keen interest in codes and ciphers. He saw in them not just secrets, but a testament to the power of knowledge and the responsibility it carried. Abbot Bernard sat alone in his cell, regretting what he had done. The memory of his power haunted him. From the battlements of Winchester, Eleanor surveyed her kingdom. The conspiracy had been a test, a crucible that tempered her resolve. She knew that vigilance was the price of power, and she was ready to pay it.